John Harbaugh hired as the New York Giants head coach last night around 11:50 p.m. I would have thought he maybe had a bedtime, but then I remember Harbaugh probably doesn't sleep. Still working out. Harbaugh probably doesn't sleep much. He's the new leader of the New York Football Giants. Your thoughts, AJ? Is it kind of look like this was going to happen, but officially does?
Yeah, definitely. You could see this coming. It really, I don't know what it is, like the New York Giants brand. It seems to mesh well with having John Harbaugh come in there. You hear about him being a disciplinarian, holds guys accountable, all of that stuff. So, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And what's this deal? Gave him a crazy amount of money, too, to come in there, which I understand this isn't about the money for a guy like Harbaugh. But it's probably the best opportunity he has.
5 years, $100 million. Obviously, New Jersey taxes in that entire thing. So you add that in, you factor that in. Like other states, he was in Maryland, so I assume he had already, accounted for all of that as he rolls forward. But 5 years, $100 million, which it immediately led me to say, well, then that means LaFleur. Okay, LaFleur now knows exactly where the market is, right, if he was to be negotiating with the Packers. And Schefter said they both expect the deal to be done, both the Packers and LaFleur. It's like, okay, well, maybe Harbaugh has helped LaFleur's contract a little bit, or maybe Harbaugh has kind of set up what these coaches' contracts are going to look like going forward. $20 million a year, obviously Harbaugh, very accomplished, is a big number. Yeah, that's a big number. I think Tomlin... There was a report that he had $50 million remaining, 2 years left, $50 million.
Yeah.
So he was making $25 million a year. Is that how it read?
That is how I read it as well. Yes.
So I guess that is like a number that
I think him and McVay are.
We don't know. We don't. There's no official thing where it's only if the owners and the team decides to tell you what they're making, right, or the agent of the coach.
Yeah, that's why whenever I saw a 5-year, $100 million, I'm like, oh, they're reporting that like a player.
Yeah, like a player.
Yeah, that usually is not the case. Maybe that is Mara telling the other ownership, good luck. This is what we got to do. You got to do it too. Everybody's going to have to pay it. If we know it, everybody's going to know what the new comp is. Not a bad gig to take that head coaching role getting $20 million. Not that Harbaugh obviously isn't set and has been very successful for a long time, and we assume he's got businesses.
Oh, yeah. So many
good business.
I don't know if he's with Jimmy's Famous or not. That would have been a good investment.
Yeah, it would have been
a good investment while he was there. Who knows if he's gone from that whole thing. But congrats to Harbaugh. Congrats to the Giants.
Yeah, need to get a camera on him and Scadaboo's first conversation. Not sure if Harbaugh is aware of what Scadaboo's been up to. Need that. And then also, the Giants are one of the most attractive jobs, right? They got the quarterback and you get a top 5 pick. Like, could you imagine if John Harbaugh goes in there and he's like, okay, yeah, I'll take Caleb Downs. And then they have one of the better young cores in the entire NFL right off the bat.
D-line, too. I think the D-line definitely enticed him. He was excited about that D-line and what they can do.
He has to hire an OC and a DC. Now, granted, there's a lot of OCs potentially available. Are any of them very great? I guess Harbaugh would have to decide that. There was a conversation allegedly that he wanted to stick with Monken and not move on, but that was all when Fodder was kind of out there to make excuses for why a separation happened. We don't know what's real and what isn't real.
And there was a report last night, I can't remember which insider said it, but it was a legit one that said that they kind of expect Monken to go with him to be the OC.
On your point, kind of legit, Rappaport was the guy. Rap sheet. Todd Monken is among the assistants expected to join John Harbaugh. Okay, so there it is.
He didn't say coordinator, though. He didn't say to join as the coordinator.
Yeah, I think he's probably just going to be special assistant to the weight room.
It was a quote tweet about the offensive coordinator.
He's already had an interview with the Browns for head coach, though, so I think it's safe to assume that if he's getting head coaching interviews that he's going to be going as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and we also now know with the Bisciotti interview that Harbaugh was gone no matter what. There wasn't some sort of like, hey, you're not firing Monken or I'm gone. No, Harbaugh was getting fired. We know now, so that was complete bullshit.
Another week. What an answer by Steve Bisciotti. Allegedly through his entire interview yesterday whenever he was boots on the ground up there in New Jersey for the New York Giants. He didn't answer his phone one time. He didn't look at his phone, although he did get in a plane and leave. They were tracking his plane out of Teterboro and where he was headed. He was allegedly supposed to go do interviews with the Titans and amongst other places. A lot of people are saying maybe Tennessee was actually kind of a quiet favorite here for Harbaugh, as he's going to be maybe offered the keys to the entire palace and to kind of tell him to build it as they have a new stadium on the horizon. Well, he never made the trip to Nashville. I think if he lands there, maybe.
You never know.
You never know. You're walking by a honky-tonk. Morgan Wallen's playing. And Harbaugh's like, I love this music. Then walks down a little bit further. Luke Combs is sitting right there, just welcome to town, coach. And then Jelly Roll's literally standing at the end of the street going, amen, singing to Harbaugh as he's in town. You can kind of get lost in the sauce down there in Nashville and say, wow, is this the greatest city that's ever existed, you start learning the history of it, and you almost fall in love even more. So they didn't want that to happen if they were Giants fans. Bruce Brown in our group text, panicking.
Oh, yeah.
Panicking as Jets were kind of being tracked, which is obviously creepy, should not be able to happen. Hate that it is, but it's certainly part of the world that we're in. There was a man named Mr. O'Connor who was a part of the coverage of it. Joining us now is a man who might be on the inside more than anything we saw on the internet last night. Joining us, ladies and gentlemen, senior NFL insider for ESPN, journalist, Adam Schefter.
Hey.
What's up, Shefty?
Hello, guys. Hi, Pat. What's going on?
If you could provide some journalism for our program, we'd be grateful. It felt like this was going to happen for a while.
Yeah.
Giants fans are maybe willing this into existence. Allegedly, Jackson Dart was a part of the interview as well, with Harbaugh maybe interviewing him just as much as he is potentially learning about Coach Harbaugh. Inevitably, why do you not take the trip to the Titans? Why do you think this got done? And when he leaves town, is he just going to talk to family to kind of make his entire decision? How do we get to this point right here?
No, I think what happened was, I think that they had the framework of a deal in place when he left the building. And the Titans were in his house today.
Oh, no. Can't hear anything. Can't hear anything.
And obviously that trip was canceled. So that trip didn't happen. And the Titans officials never came to Baltimore today because he had essentially the makings of a deal in place done with the Giants. Now, again, as it was described to me last night, there were still some details to iron out in the opinion of some, but he had essentially told the Giants he was going to take that job and become the head coach there. Now, look, from the day he got fired in Baltimore and even before then, I think the Giants were doing a lot of work on him. And he was doing a lot of work on them. So it went both ways. Like, he was calling around to various people. He spoke to a lot of people about the New York Giants, gathered a lot of information. People like Tom Coughlin, Bill Belichick, like all kinds of people checking in. And he got back positive reports. And he obviously knew the quarterback, what he was, and he knew the players and talent that were there. And I think anytime any coach, whether it's John Harbaugh or any coach in this cycle or any cycle, is deciding whether or not to go for a job, the two biggest factors are quarterback and ownership. And clearly, with all the people he checked with all the people he spoke with, he felt good enough about what he heard to essentially agree in principle to become their head coach. So he took that job, canceled with the Titans, not going to visit or meet with the Falcons. I think the Falcons also might have been coming to Baltimore at some point in time. Didn't happen. So in the end, John Harbaugh took one visit to the New York Giants, and they closed it out. Now, Baltimore owes him some money, so that probably figures in here. But when all is said and done, I expect the deal to average about $20 million a year, make him about one of the highest paid coaches in the National Football League, gets the roster, and the Giants, and we said this with Ty on our podcast, this is their Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl today. They got the coach that everybody wanted. They got the kind of coach, in my mind, like when they hired Bill Parcells, there was that much excitement. When they hired Dan Reeves, there was that much excitement. When they hired Tom Coughlin, there was that much excitement. And once again, there's excitement in the Giants world over the hiring of John Harbaugh.
Okay, so on that note, Harbaugh with rookie quarterbacks has fared pretty well. Obviously, with Joe Flacco, they end up winning the Super Bowl in the entirety of it all. And then with Lamar Jackson at 45-16, 1-3 in the playoffs, obviously that is the reason why he was let go from Baltimore, is because of, playoff and late season success in it all. They want something fresh and new, and we are going to trust Paisan Bishotti. Okay, we are going to trust him. But on that note, Harbaugh has done well with young quarterback development, it appears. He's also done well whenever he has a little bit more roster and cap space around the quarterback. We'll see what they're able to do around Jackson Dart.